Alright guys, I thought I'd share a little bit of a knife hack for those who don't know. Sometimes it can be difficult just by looking at a knife, determining what the handle material is, whether it be bone or delrin, wood, because I've seen some really nice delrin that looks exactly like bone. I've seen really nice jigged wood that had a good polish put on it that resembled bone pretty deeply, because when these handle materials are polished to a certain degree, a lot of the pores in the material and the grain of the material are hidden. And I'm going to show you a couple examples right here that it's hard for me to tell what they are just by looking at them. But I know for a fact this is a bone handle and this is a bone handle. But just a quick glance at this one, it looks like it could be synthetic. It looks like it could be delrin because of the high polish that they have put on it. Get out of here, fly. And I thought the same about this knife. That way we can hear better. Let me turn that air conditioner off. This knife, the handle scales are so thin and it has such a high polish on it that I was questioning whether it is actually bone or not. And then I remembered this little knife hack that I'd like to share with y'all for determining whether or not a handle material is synthetic or wood, because it works on both. Now, I'm going to do this to a knife I don't particularly care about because it needs to be rehandled anyway. More on that in just a minute. Get your little multi-tool out, or some needle nose pliers, and just a regular everyday sewing needle, and your lighter. Heat the tip of that needle up until it's glowing red. Doesn't take very long. As soon as that needle's glowing red, see that? It left hardly any sign of that hot needle penetrating that bone. We'll do it again on that red bone right beside it. Nothing. No mark. Y'all didn't see no smoke. Now here's an old rusted, pretty worn Western. It needs to be cleaned up. Be a good user, but not really one I want to put in the collection. With delrin, jig delrin. It's pretty obvious by looking at it, but it's just for an example. Just a good user knife. We're not ruining a collector's item here. Now watch when this needle touches this Delrin. Did you see that smoke? Did you see the smoke come off the needle? This one is also a synthetic handle. The hot needle will penetrate into the Delrin or synthetic material, whatever it is, plastic, what have you. And it will smoke horribly. Now here's a kind of a busted wood handle example. Now when these burn, it smells like plastic. It smells like burning trash. I mean, it's very obvious. Wood will let out smoke too, but it will have a different smell to it. Just as another example. Once again, this handle's been repaired. It's not the most beautiful thing in the collection. This is a good user, good EDC sod buster. See, it lets out one little puff of smoke, and it smells like wood burning. It smells like a match just got blew out. Now this works for mother of pearl too, pearl or shell handles, stone. You know, that needle is not going to penetrate, that hot needle is not going to penetrate most hard natural handle materials. Bone, stag, antler, mother of pearl. But it will smoke on wood, and it definitely smokes and stinks. And you can see the fiber it pulled out of this little camp knife from where it melted it. You can see I touched that one twice there and see it melted, that Delrin. We'll talk about this one more later, but we'll go ahead and showcase this. This right here is, it's pretty amazing how thin they got these jig bone handles. There's one slight pin crack right here by my thumb, but that's some of the thinnest bone, jig bone I've seen on a knife. And this is my oldest ulster from Ulster Knife Co. This is pre-imperial. This little camp knife. It's set somewhere for a long time. This thing is a nail breaker. I've got a thing for nail breakers. But it's set somewhere closed for a long time because it has pitting along the spines of every blade here. But where the blades were covered down in the belly of the knife, it's really not in that bad of a shape. Now, I say this is pre-imperial charade buyout from Ulster because they were marked Ulster Knife Company before then. I'm going to date this knife. somewhere pre-World War, in between World War One, World War Two. I'll say late 20s through the 30s. But Ulster, the Ulster sellout to Imperial was like 41 or 43, somewhere in there. Yeah, after World War II, Imperial and Ulster joined together to form a cooperative company known as Kingston. And in 1947, Kingston was dissolved and the Imperial Knife Associated Companies Inc. was formed. The Ulster marking was discontinued about 1972. So Imperial used the Ulster markings from 47 to 72. And I know that this stamp is pre-Imperial ownership. And it's definitely not a World War II knife because of brass liners. So I would assume it's not a World War I time period either. I think it's a between the wars knife. No, anyway, really cool little piece there. I like it a lot. And I just thought y'all would get a kick out of testing handle materials. Now, don't do this to a knife you care about. I mean, if you really like the knife, you're not going to want to melt a hole or two in the handle material, obviously. So it's kind of a destructive method of testing, but it is still a way to test handle material. If you're 90% certain it's bone and you want to be 100% certain, heat that needle up and stick it to the bone. If you don't want to ruin it because you're afraid it might be plastic, then don't do it. Just live happily ever after telling yourself it's a bone handle. But the reason, like, I wasn't too concerned about damaging this newer Ulster, this is a Imperial Charade produced Ulster, is because you can obviously see these handle scales are shrinking, and they're going to eventually look like this identical Ulster from Imperial Charade. This knife is eventually going to look like this knife. And I would like to rehandle them whenever I have the time. It's hard to find time when you work all the time and raise a family. So, wasn't too worried about hurting this one because it's just going to wind up looking like this one. And it would be a lot cooler if they looked like this one, or a stag handled one. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Here's a little preview for Wood Wednesday tomorrow. We'll talk about that for Wood Wednesday. Anyways, guys, this is Hillbilly Proud. Y'all have a good one.